All right, guys, welcome back into the channel. We have a banger for you today. We're looking at Lee Cronin's The Mummy. We did a breakdown of the trailer a couple of weeks ago. Well, here it is, guys. We went and saw the movie, and I'm excited actually about the next movie we're going to be reviewing after this, but let's get to this one first. Don't get ahead of yourself. I'm back again, Big Rob, of course, back with my boys, Rue and Max. Max, why don't you throw us some statistics, my brother, and see what the numbers say for Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
Well, absolutely. Hey guys, consider smashing that like. We love to provide you guys some of these reviews. So we're not always in alignment, but we bring our own unique perspective. So let's take a look into the actual analytics, right? Just got to kind of mention it out there. So I saw this in regard to Lee Cronin's The Mummy, and I said, all right, Fandango score 74%. But for me, I always pay attention, just like a lot of you guys do, in regard to the IMDb rating as well as Rotten Tomatoes. And we see IMDb is a 6.4 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes is a 47%. I'm going to be honest, this is a shocker, probably to Rob and Rue. I don't think this rating is justified. Believe it or not, I think it should have been a lot higher of a rating. And all three of us will give some perspective on that. But again, if you're a real horror movie enthusiast, that's right up your alley, that's your favorite genre, I'm just going to be honest. To me, it should have been a lot higher. I thought this movie was really creative for this type of genre, but we'll get more into it. I want to kick it over to either Rob or Rue. Some of your thoughts in regard to the film, what screamed out to you, what really caught your attention, and so on.
Go ahead, Rob. I'll go last.
Okay, that scares me when Rue says he's going to go last. Just kidding. Honestly, guys, yeah, I just finished up watching this movie about an hour and a half ago, and there were parts I really, really liked. There were parts I really, really didn't. Right from the beginning, I think it started off really well. I think the story was great. I think the writing was great. They didn't really leave a whole lot of loose ends that I saw at the end. I mean, they did leave things open. I mean, really quickly, they left things open to a sequel. But going back to the beginning here, they were very consistent in the storyline. I found they didn't leave me going, well, what the hell about this? Like, what's going on with that? Right? There was none of that in this movie. I think it was very, very well done. The director of this movie, I believe, also made another movie called It Follows, which was another horror movie that I was a big, big fan of. So when I saw that, I knew that I was in for a bit of a treat. So yeah, it was really, really good. So I want to start there with the writing and the storyline of it. I know that it's called The Mummy. This didn't even have to be called The Mummy. They didn't have to take the name of like the Brendan Fraser movie or whatever, because in no way, shape, or form was there even any kind of a throwback to that movie. And I don't think it was intentional to be that, right? I mean, we had movies back in the 80s and stuff called The Mummy as well. So it didn't necessarily have to be related to the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies whatsoever. And clearly it wasn't. It went its own way. It did its own thing. There was a little bit of comedy in it, though, just a slight bit, just enough, right? Just enough, in my opinion. What do you think, Max?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the whole part of the comedy. I know where you're going with that. So basically, our channel is Hollywood movie reviews and spoilers. So a disclaimer, a little bit of a spoiler if you haven't seen the film. Rob is referring to the part where the son says something like, what the F? And then the girl in the back, right, the youngest daughter, she's just like, you said F. That, for me, that was the funniest part of the whole film. There's another one, of course, towards the end with the grandma, with the reference of licking what, and whoa, that was, some people consider that funny, other people were kind of cringe moment. But as far as the kid, I thought that was hilarious. That part really stood out, and that to me was legitimately funny. I wish I could have saw a little bit more of that funny, but I get it for this genre of the movie. Maybe there's only a few areas where you do that, kind of like a PG-13 movie, right? You only allow maybe one or two F-bombs at the most. Otherwise, then it becomes a rated R movie. Maybe it's something like that. But that's what caught my attention. How about you, Rue, in regard to comedy?
Well, let me give my overview first. I think this movie was horrible. Like, the writing was horrible. Like, the scare factor was horrible. It was absolutely terrible movie. I'm glad you guys went first because, and I'm glad I didn't reveal that on like in our group chat. Like,
No, brother, I'm looking forward to hearing more from you because you know what?
The worst to me. Like, Rotten
Right.
Tomatoes, like, if I could give it a 10, like, that would be what I give it. So I don't know if we want to get into why I think that right now. We can come back to it, but for me, it was terrible.
Well, I think we should take it kind of step by step here, right? And we're kind of going with the comedy aspect of it right now. So where did you land on that?
Yeah, the part with the grandma zombie, like with the whole licking part, that was interesting. That was
Hey,
kind of
this
funny.
is genre. You can't call a mummy a zombie. You're gonna piss people off.
I mean, wasn't she a zombie though? Because she was dead
She's
and it
100% a
didn't.
zombie. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say she was a zombie. But yeah, like there was some kind of funny parts, but for me, there was no comedy. Maybe it's just because it was just so terrible to me.
Yeah, for me, the next part that there was a frustrating part for me, and it was the maybe it's because I'm a father and a husband, but the 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 ignorance and the unwillingness to take control of the situation with the father. And I understand it's part of the script and it's in the movie, but you see that far too often with these types of movies where the man of the house, the leader, the male lead actor in the movie is just this massive pushover right up until the end, right? And he just like you can clearly see is not right, and you're just letting your wife tell you to shut up, right? Like,
You
I
know
mean,
what?
like,
Yeah, that's definitely agenda in movies lately. But like to me, like this guy, he wasn't bad, but I know what you're talking about. He was not like the quintessential, like, okay, I'm the leader, we're gonna figure this out. Like, we're gonna, this is what we're gonna do with the kid. Like, but he did say, look, we should get her out of here and get her some professional help. And the mother didn't want to listen.
And then what happened right after that? He immediately apologized. So it's kind of like the guy's going to stand his ground and then immediately apologize afterwards. Like, you know what? I'm sorry. Like you just went. You almost had an alpha male moment, my friend, and then you became beta male all over again. Like, who is this? And then it goes back to what we're talking about. So yeah, I would say all three of us are in agreement as far as that perspective on the father figure.
Yeah,
I did.
he was right though. He was right. She should have, but they should have had extra help. But she wanted to take care of the kid.
But I think while it was frustrating for me to see that, I think it was good for his character arc when a father's love at the end prevails, right? When it was time to come through, that's exactly what he did. And I think that while frustrating to watch it in real time, especially as a family man, it's good to see that redemption kind of arc at the end where a father's love prevails, right? And he takes the bullet for the team, for the family, right? So maybe it was all just part of his arc, but a little bit of a sandwich here. So good, bad, good. Another good part for me was that I am a fan of. I like the Evil Dead movies, especially the newer ones, right? And there was even the new Evil Dead trailer before this movie. In the they play the trailers before the movie, and I'm not sure how much you guys are into the Evil Dead movies, but this was very, very. If you're a fan of the Evil Dead movies, especially the newer ones, this was very Evil Dead esque.
I've met Bruce Campbell in person, and I've seen a few of the Evil Deads, but I have to admit, I'm not the most hardcore fan of that genre. But that's an interesting way to put it.
It's been a while since I've seen it. Evil Dead. I can't remember. Like to me, the writing in this was terrible.
Well, like Max, you said the grandmother on the table and the comments that she made. That is very, very Evil Dead esque. That's Bruce Campbell style
Got it.
Evil Dead kind of just this massive inappropriate
Well,
comment.
I would say it's more Sam Raimi. As we know, Sam Raimi originally went from Evil Dead, and he has a relationship with Bruce Campbell. I know we're kind of getting off kilter here, and then of course he jumped on over to Spider-Man, which was really interesting. That's a whole topic for another day. Maybe you guys want us to cover that, but nonetheless, I want to jump back to a little bit more towards the beginning of the film. I thought, and I understand where Rue's coming from. I thought they did a pretty decent job, I guess you could say. I know Rue's really into symbolism. I do want to at least highlight. I think we should touch bases on this. So I do agree back with what Rob was talking about in regard to like this movie could have completely been called a different title. Like instead of the mummy, it could have been literally called like the demon or the possessed or something like that. This movie is more focused on, I hate to say it, like, and some people, I mean, if this is you, right, like you love that type of super evil, creepy, satanic, demonic possession, this might be right up your alley, to be honest. But yeah, towards the beginning of the movie, right? So it's Katie, who obviously, even if you haven't seen the movie, she is the oldest girl. She's the firstborn of the family, and she
Spoiler
goes,
alert.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then so she goes into the garden, and that right there is just like, oh, okay, the garden. I'm really thinking like, okay, kind of like a little bit of Garden of Eden esque type of thing, right? Um, and there's also a little bit of like a Snow White feel to it. Maybe you guys agree with me on that, where I felt as though the character Layla, I want to say her name is Kalani, give or take, right? But anyway, Layla, she's like the evil witch, and basically, Katie, to a sense, is kind of like your Snow White esque figure, but like Eve, is tempted. Literally, they have the apple. So first, she's tempted with chocolate, right? And then she's tempted with the, like literally an apple, and then that ends up being like a really rotten apple, right? Huh?
It's a nectarine. It's a nectarine because
My bad. Right. Yeah, you're right. You're technically right.
well, just let me
Yeah.
interject before I continue. The whole purpose of the reason I said it is because it's important to the storyline later in the movie when the cop realizes that this farm out in the middle of nowhere is a nectarine farm, and then she goes back to the crime scene photo and sees the rotten nectarine that the woman used to lure the child. That's why I mentioned it, because it was very important to the storyline. So,
Right, compared to Apple. Yeah, you're 100% right. My main thing again was like again Snow White. The evil witch. Hey, have you taste this? So it was kind of like Snow White horror to a sense. I'll state this. I know I don't want us to get like all over the map here because there's a lot, but um, as far as it being a scary movie, to me it wasn't really a scary movie. I do agree with Rue on that. I did think it was a creepy movie. So some of you guys, like, let's face it, you get really, pardon my expression, off on the whole thing of like a creepy movie. So if there's a difference, right, when it comes to scary movies and creepy movies, right? Like when I saw The Ring, the original one, without knowing anything about it was going to be a horror movie, just a complete surprise. To me, that was a scary movie. But when I watched it again, it wasn't scary because I already knew everything was going to happen. To me, that was a legitimate scary movie. This film, to me, is not a scary movie at all.
I agree with you there.
Yeah, if you're in a creepy movie, then I think like, whoa, this is a creepy movie.
You're right with the symbolism with Snow White. I didn't even think this movie had any symbolism in it, but it did there. The Arab woman is the witch that gets old Snow White there, Katie, and puts her in the slumber, right? But that was the part that was so like incredibly stupid to me, because it was like, in a small town like this, I know it was like Cairo, so it's kind of be like a big town, small town type of feel, and that the Arabs of that community would probably stick together and know that this family was a really well-off family, because the dad was like this, like, what do you say, like Steve Irwin type of kind of character a little bit. And that's the part that was really kind of stupid to me, because it was like, in these small towns, all the Arabs would know each other, and they would know that she's like one of the rich families, like daughters, and they would never target one of the rich family's daughters. Like everyone would they would never target one of the rich family's daughters. And on top of that, like when they go do the scene where they're wrapping her up with these seals, right? Like there's all these initiates in what I guess Layla Khalil had, like initiates that helped her. So there was a whole, like, I guess, coven, if you were going to call her a witch, of people, right? And if they were going to do like this kind of grooming thing, they would groom a member of the coven, right? And that kid would know that it would be the sacrifice, and it would be groomed to become the sacrifice. You wouldn't go grab the rich, white kid in the town and make her the sacrifice. But I get how they were trying to set it up, like, oh, the family was distracted, so she groomed her with the chocolate, and the whole Snow White type of thing. But in actuality, this would never happen. They would pick a sacrifice from within, and that would be the sacrifice. Like there was nothing special about Katie. Like, and that was the thing too that was weird to me. It was like, okay, well, why her? It's like, oh,
well, the woman that grabbed her said that an innocent kid is lasts longer or whatever. That's could be
and
why.
that part too, the innocent child. And she was like, and there was one part where she was like mouthing off to either her dad or her mother, like, oh, is she really an innocent child? It could have been any innocent child. That's what I'm saying. Like
No, you're right
it wasn't
about
like
any
she
innocent
was,
child because the
yeah,
cop, if you guys remember the cop character, she even pointed out that any human actually would do, right? So it's not like you have to be the
right.
most innocent or the firstborn. It's just a carrier, but that was their preference. I actually want to shift real quick, if you guys don't mind, something that because we've done our reviews in the past other films where they had failed opportunities. I just want to point this out, okay? Um, there was some failed opportunities in this film, and basically back to the whole thing of like not just the father, but even the mother or even the brothers, the oldest brother, right, or the only son. Um, I'm sorry, possessed or not, my sister or my daughter has been missing for 8 years. Immediately when she comes back, it's just like they kind of like ooh, like oh, there's this it's kind of like it's a patient. No. Immediately, again for me, if that was my daughter, I would have been like bring her in, or immediately just go into the car, or immediately as soon as I saw her, just smothering her with like love and affection, and just letting her know like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that you went through this, and just to me, that wasn't established until later. And when they finally did it, I said to myself, finally, and it was basically with the father he goes up to Katie. Granted, she's possessed, right? Like literally demonically possessed, and he's just like he has a, I guess you say like a breakdown, but he pours his heart out. To me, that should have been established way sooner, and you only got that from him. You didn't really get that from the mother. The mother was trying to nurse her and bring her back and clip her toenails. All that was creepy as hell, right? But you don't even get it from the brothers. They're like, oh, they've been, she's been gone so long. Like, I'm just thinking to myself, Rue and Ron, who the heck is this family? Like, really? Like,
Well,
is she just this public, like somebody you put up in a museum? Maybe that was the thing
well,
they're going for.
I think they did a good job with that. Like everyone had their own like things that they had to work through with her being back. And the brother was like, I don't even know how to deal with this. Like, and that was good the way that they did that because in some ways he might have felt even like responsible because he wasn't out there watching her. Like,
Well,
so
I think that speaking of missed opportunities and holes in the story, there is that one now that you guys mentioned the brother or the son, however you want to word it. Uh, they never like with the youngest daughter, we saw when she got possessed and how it happened. With the son and brother, it just went from he's fine to next scene he's possessed, and they didn't tell us how or why or what happened, or you know what I mean, like just all of a sudden he was banging his head on the corner of the bed. It was like, well, when did this take place, right?
well, they did that. It was the door. It was something with the door where everyone would that every kid that kind of went to the door after that they were possessed.
I don't remember anything about that.
Yeah, he went to the door. He just wasn't there as long as the little girl was. He went to the door and he like almost immediately was like, okay, I'm going back to my room. But that was it. He was already possessed. He already established the link.
I didn't pick that up at all.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. But then yeah, so and then the father, like to continue what I was saying with everyone working through their thing with her being back, the father was like, okay, you blamed me for her the whole time. Like, I might have not been paying attention that one day because of my job and I was on the phone, but you should have known that she was being groomed and getting this candy every day.
It's a
Right.
good point though. He had a point.
He did have a point. He definitely had a point, but and that was a little harsh, and he apologized for that. I think he should have for sure. Like that was a little out of line. But everybody was working through kind of her being back, and so Max, I see where you're coming from with it, but I think it was like they did a good job of kind of displaying the pent up emotion in 8 years of her now being back.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
Like that
Um,
might have been the only thing they.
well, listen, I know that you have some stills that you wanted to share in regard to the film that kind of grabbed your attention that you wanted to display for our audience.
Yep, I have it shared.
All right, let me pull that up. Give me a second. All right, go for it.
So I'm not sure when the scene was, but yeah, this is like kind of after she came back and this was one of the holes for me too. Like they never, okay, they explain that she's, you know, she's. They eventually end up kind of revealing that she's, she's keeping this demon at bay. But again, I think they would have chosen someone within the cult to do this. Like she wasn't special because again, like that, it ends up, spoiler alert, that the dad ends up taking the spirit inside of him. Like there was nothing special about her. It was just
But if they took someone from the cult, there wouldn't be a movie.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
there could have been a movie. It would be a better movie in my eyes. Like, okay, like you groom somebody from the cult, and it has to be them. You put them through this ritual, and then like,
well, hold on a
okay,
second, just real quick. I think the only thing that is special about her is that she's the firstborn. There was some emphasis from Layla's character, that she was the firstborn. Now we may not know that, like these children of the corn looking dudes. In my opinion, that was the only scary part of the film. Just to be transparent, where is they had a ceremony and it was all grainy on the VHS tape and whatnot, and they were doing the transfer and they show the kids and that really like a dungeon looking room. That part was a little scary, if we're gonna say that's scary. But anyway, um, for all we know, Root, maybe none of those kids, those children of the corn looking kids, were a firstborn child, and that's what separated Katie from everybody else. Rob, do you know about that? Because I didn't catch that.
Well, see, I like that you said that, because there is something I noticed that flew under the radar that I wasn't going to mention because I wasn't sure if it was caught or not. But you just kind of touched on it, the firstborn, where at the end of the movie, I don't know if you recall, but in the video with the woman who does all of this, Layla, she mentions in passing, almost nonchalantly, that she's the firstborn in her family, right? And that's why she's in charge of doing this in the first place. And then at the end of the movie, it throws to them moving the demon into her while she's in the
That
hospital.
makes sense now, because yeah, she would be the carrier, and the carrier is supposed to be a firstborn. Great catch.
so
Exactly.
we see how many people were helping her with, little Katie on the cross there, and like there were no firstborn children in the entire coven, is what you're saying now. Like,
Oh, I
I
don't
think
know. I
that's
don't remember.
I think that's poor writing. Poor writing. Like
Well, that I would
if
agree. I mean,
if
if I
all you
have to
needed,
go with you guys to consult for us to do a deep dive on what happened, who's who, you
I
know.
mean, if all you needed was a firstborn child, come on, guys. Like let's do a little bit better than that.
You're not wrong, but I think you're diving a little deep into a horror movie script. I don't know. I think you're diving deep, man. Right?
But I mean, if you want to have it be a good movie, you kind of have to have these things, and like yeah, and yeah. Have you seen like different movies, different types of situations in which they make sacrifices of kids? Because this is what it kind of was. She was a kid that was sacrificed to be the seal for this demon, and this is something like, you go into anime like Naruto and all of these things. This is something that is a common theme. Um, they would have gotten it from within the group. Uh, that's
Yeah.
It's just weird that they would point out and they would get the rich kid from like Steve Irwin. Like Steve Irwin's rich
Jeez,
kid,
Steven.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that would not happen. No,
I
no
just
one,
want to throw this
no
out
one
there.
would do
Yeah, I just want to throw this out there. Based off of everything we saw in the film, especially like the kids, and the Layla character is kind of like she's like a serial kidnapper slash demon, possession type person. I kind of look like all those events, like as far as getting those kids, that hasn't been explained. Maybe that'll be explained like in a sequel. I don't know. But to me personally, I think this film would have done better as a TV series. You could have had character development a lot better with how all these chain of events would have happened. Personally, and of course, we'll never get that anyway.
Probably so, Max. I think I agree with you there because there were a lot of things like, why did they move the coffin? Why did they have to move the coffin? They never
Why does
explained
it have
to
to be
us.
a pyramid other than it's Egypt? I mean, so what? It's called the Mummy. I'll say this: they capitalize on a well-known brand, which is like what Rob was talking about with like Brandon Fraser, the Mummy. But I get it. I mean, technically, the Mummy dates back to books from what the 1920s and et cetera, et cetera. But for the most part, I mean, the other type of horror-esque movie that was the Mummy was Tom Cruise. That version of the Mummy, they did try to go towards the horror feel. But again, the Brendan Fraser, the Mummy Returns, those were more or less kind of like a dampened down, action adventure. There's nothing really scary about those in reality. Like kind of like Indiana Jones meets the Mummy to a sense, if you will.
Yeah, that's what the Mummy was like. That's a perfect way of summing it up. But
Yeah.
this, like, yeah, like
Well, it worked. It worked. This is what I gathered. So what I gathered was, in regard to the film, like I guess the budget was 20 million and they made 80 million at the box office, give or take. That's why I checked last night. So if that was the mission, you won, right? I mean, these guys. Anyway,
But yeah, that's what I was saying. They're like, we don't know why they moved the coffin. Like, and if they didn't move the coffin, they never would.
We do know why they moved the coffin.
Why?
She said in the movie, they said the woman with the tongue cut out or whatever said that they were going to flood their valley, so they had to her brothers had to move the coffin.
Got it. Okay. So, okay, got it. Okay, so that's why they moved the coffin. Where were they moving it to? Like,
it didn't get where it was going. I know that much.
Where did they move it to? And it seemed like a significance that it was like next to the pyramid. Like, what was that about? Like, there's so many to me, there was a lot of gaps. There's a lot of gaps.
Back to the TV series thing. TV series, you could have had everything explained, but again, it's a movie. You only have so much time, and it is what it is. It just
But here's
go ahead. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. That's why I liked the writing and the scripts, because a lot of stuff was kind of hidden. There was a lot of Easter eggs in there hidden, like I've pointed out a couple of them already, that might have just gone unnoticed by most people, right? Like I said, like you touched on, Max, the firstborn, and then the woman at the end who gets her upcomings being the firstborn in her family. A lot of people probably didn't pick that up because it was just nonchalantly mentioned in the video, and then at the end they don't explain it, they just put the demon in her, right? Stuff like that. I think there was a lot of hidden Easter eggs like that you really had to be paying attention to pick up on, right? I think there was a lot of that, like the whole flooding the valley, like Rue and I just talked about. There was a sign when the cop drove up to the house that said, "Don't flood us, like don't flood this valley here." And if you weren't really paying attention, because it was in Arabic or whatever, and it just said down in subtitles at the bottom, it gave you the translation to the sign. Well, that's why the sign was there, because then they would have had to move the casket, right? And it's just interesting, those little intricate things, and that's why I liked it. This felt like not just a horror movie, but like a thriller where you had to piece things together, right? Where it was almost like you had that kind of feel of like The Usual Suspects, where the cop is piecing these things together and the father is piecing things together with this teacher, and it's all kind of slowly coming together. And that's what I liked about it, right? It wasn't like you knew exactly what was going on from start to finish in a horror movie, where it's just I would agree. Yeah, like most horror movies, just like, okay, well, Jason Voorhees is just going to walk around and slash some people up, right?
That's exactly why. Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to interject there. That's exactly why I felt as though this film it wasn't justified on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, the scores that it had, because Rob, you and I think we were in alignment when it comes to, did the movie do a good job of keeping me guessing? And that's exactly what this film did for me. And this is like, I went in, you guys know, right, behind the scenes, I wasn't too psyched to see this film. And then when I watched it, I was like, I had a little bit more of an open mind. And I mean, I get where Rue's coming from at the same time, but like, what value did the film give me? Did it keep me wanting to watch? Did it keep me guessing? Absolutely. It did a great job with that. Did they have missed opportunities? Yes. Another missed opportunity was definitely with the grandma, for crying out loud, where you got a little bit of a taste immediately when she says the prayer, when she says amen, like you could tell like it bothered the demonly possessed Katie. So I thought, oh, okay, they're gonna incorporate some like, I guess you could say, some religion into this, because again, if you're using the reference of your firstborn child, literally that's biblical references, right? And then again, the flooding and whatnot, Nile River. I mean, again, Cairo, that area, that makes sense. So there were some missed opportunities, especially with the rosary. When I saw the cross, I was immediately thinking this. I was thinking, oh, well, something's going to happen in which maybe like that's going to damage the demon, I guess you could say, and that didn't happen. So I was like, okay, that's not consistent. The amen, it bothered the demon. You missed the opportunity with the crucifix to bother the demon, but I guess that's not the route they wanted to go. And maybe that was also, Rob, where they wanted to keep us guessing, because in reality, a lot of TV shows, right? A lot of times we watch the show, we get really into it, and we're like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And guess what? Nope, that is not what happened, and that's what makes good story writing. So I can kind of agree and disagree a little bit with where Rue was coming from, but yeah, they kept me guessing. And as a result, when we get towards the end of our outline or our review, I'll share why I had my review a little bit higher than some of you guys probably thought I would have it at.
And then another thing that was pretty like, I think wasn't explained, or like there's a disconnect. Like the demon didn't, like, it clearly didn't like the grandmother mentioning like God. So, but then you have the Arab woman that's taking care of like making sure it's sealed away. Like, so what, like, is there a difference there? Because, I mean, for me, there's, there are three Abrahamic religions, Islam, Judaism, and uh, you know, uh Catholicism, Christianity, right? But like clearly the abuela, she's Latino, maybe she's probably Catholic, but then you have this, Arab woman sealing away the demon. So I mean, technically that's the same God, but there's a little bit of a disconnect there. Um yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot, there's so much to
There are
me
some
that was.
inconsistencies with that, and even with the cop character, I actually like the cop character. But at the beginning, you see her with her hijab, and then she doesn't have her hijab at all. I don't know what's up with that, but anyway,
Yeah, maybe she just decided like not to, and
like she lost her faith or something. But we'll
well,
never know, right?
some Arab women do decide not to wear their hijab, and that's fine, but yeah, it's very, but that was a choice too, that they eventually had her when she was older to not wear her hijab, and that's interesting. But
Well, I gotta interject there just for a minute, because I didn't hear anything in the movie about the people who sealed the demon away being Christians or Catholic. They weren't speaking and sealing the demon away in Latin or anything like that. So I don't know. I see what you're saying, but I didn't see an implication that those people were speaking on behalf of Christianity or Jesus Christ. I do think that just the fact that it's a demon and or demon-esque, and the grandmother was saying a prayer, obviously pissed off the demon, so to speak. But I never saw anything that tied the Arabic people in the movie sealing the demon away to Christianity. Is I guess what I'm saying. They could have used whatever culture they have to seal it away, because the writing on the bandages that were sealing the demon or mummy in were not in Latin, as I
no,
recall.
it was in Arabic.
Yeah, so I don't
Yeah,
think.
in the beginning, the guy that ends up dying, I don't know if that was her husband or her brother, but he says things that are kind of in line with the Islamic faith. But it seemed like the demon really didn't like the abuela speaking like, she was saying Christian like Catholic prayers, and it didn't seem to like that. But then when you go back to Layla, and Layla's an Arabic name, it's a Islamic name. Um, like she took it upon herself, like, okay, this was her job to make sure that this demon was sealed.
What
Like,
was her family's job, right?
right,
Generations of her family were doing it.
right. So I mean, there's a little inconsistency there, but again, they are the same root religion, so it doesn't, to me it doesn't matter, but to someone like that might seem like there's an inconsistency
And
there.
and to be fair, on a side note, every religion on the face of the earth mentions Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm not picking and choosing. Like,
I know,
when
I
you
know.
say when you say God, I mean, whether it's a Trinity or Jesus, or you know, in Islam, in different religions, I think it's still meant to be, or at least in the three Abrahamic religions, it's meant to be the one God.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so it's very, very, very interesting though. To me, like, there's a lot of things that didn't correlate. Like, I did not share the view that the writing was good. I think the writing was like terrible. Like,
One
just going to Go ahead.
One of the things I did not like, I thought that the acting was subpar. The little girl did okay. She did good considering her role was so big. But I mean, the father, I think that they cast the wrong person to play the father as well because his eyes were just so big. I know I've seen him on something else, and I swear it was a comedy. He looked like Seth Rogen or something, right? And it was really hard for me to take him seriously in a serious role. He looks like a comedian, doesn't he? Like it looks like he's getting ready.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking exactly the same as you. Like, where do I recognize this guy from? If you guys don't mind, let's focus on the youngest daughter, because one thing I thought was interesting that we never touched on was where the film immediately after, or maybe right at the time of the grandma, when she's attacked by demon possessed Katie, we have the funeral scene, which I'm sure you guys remember, and it was just like everything just kind of just flies at you immediately, like the shift in the direction of the film is like, all right, we're going from the mummy, right, which is demon possessed Katie, to
Evil Dead.
no, yeah, to Evil Dead, to the zombie grandma, and then we go from that to the youngest daughter is literally, and like she's a vampire now. She's like a vampire who wants to be cannibalistic against her grandmother, and then we have even the son. He is becoming a vampire slash, I don't know. It was, do you guys kind of feel as though like, whoa, like that's where I think I am in alignment with you, Rue, because there was no storytelling there. It was just like boom, 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 like right in your face. What is this? Like, is this just because it's a horror movie? We want to grab all genres. We want to grab the vampire crowd. We want to grab the zombie crowd. We want to grab the mummy crowd. The exorcist crowd.
That's why I felt, like I said, with the son, there was no, I didn't catch any scene where it emphasized the son being possessed like the youngest daughter was. She was literally outside the door, tried to run away, was lifted up off the ground, turned around and smacked into the door, and the blood was coming out of her eyes. It was very clear what was happening. That did not happen with the son. It was just, he was fine. He, in one scene, the next scene he's sitting on the floor bashing his head on the thing and he's possessed. How did that happen? When did that happen? Right?
Yeah, that was it was after the door scene, but you're right. She didn't do all the controlling things with the daughter, like how she rose her in the air, brought her back to the door. No, he was at the door for a hot second, and she said something, and he was like, "I'm out of here."
I must have missed that. I think I did get up and go to the bathroom once. Maybe that happened when I was in the bathroom and I didn't catch it.
I don't know. I mean, I would say they did a lot better job as far as the scare tactics, or the sense of being a scary movie, if you will, with the daughter. The girl is in the bottom left hand corner with the blood, for everybody who hasn't seen the film yet. On that still that Rue has, but yeah, lifting her up, her the reciting of whatever language, maybe it's ancient Egyptian and so on, and then this is before she becomes possessed. So Katie literally cons her into it because she's speaking normally, and then anyway, she becomes this crazy vampire cannibalistic girl. It was just, that was probably a lot more well done. But here's the only thing I want to mention with you guys. I think that it's kind of in alignment with the father character. Now hear me out. I want to put a lot of emphasis on this. The father character we mentioned earlier is kind of a beta male. Well, so is the son, because with her, she's kind of, pardon my expression here, she's kind of bitchy, right? And so as it goes into it, right, like we saw the scene from the school, that part was funny. The teacher, "You're not a toad, you're a effing, see you next Thursday," right? That was pretty funny. I hate to say that, but anyway. So this part was a little bit more well done, but with the son, it's kind of like, again, back to the my father's a beta male. Well, I'm a beta male too. How so? He just seems like he's so accepting. Like, "Oh, you want to possess me? Okay, I'm go with that. You can possess me." Like, what? Well, there's no fight. There's no nothing really, right? Like he just takes his headphones off and he just kind of shivers, and I'm like, okay, is that a knock on his dad because his dad's kind of that beta male? That's how I was kind of looking at it. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
You know what? Like, I hate to be like like the opposite of everything you guys say, but it's just what's happening tonight. Yeah, I thought the acting was actually really good. I thought it was the writing and that was the worst. Like the actors did a good job, especially because like you got these dual personalities of who they are and who they are before they're like or after they're possessed, right? And you know, the abuela, she's like, oh, I did this with Sophia Loren, and she was like kind of like the jazzy grandmother, right? And then she's like this lewd, like nasty woman when she was possessed.
She's a zombie freak. Maybe that's the whole
Yeah,
point. She became possessed. Like, man, you a little freak, aren't you? You're possessed like you freaky grandma. Like, I don't know if that's the route they're trying to go, but clearly when she lifted up her, and she was just like, hey, to the father, wait, why don't you have a taste? I was like, whoa, this
yeah.
is the direction we're going. What in the
Yeah, and
world?
then the little girl who was kind of like quiet and innocent, now she's like this, like, she's cussing and she's biting necks with grandma's dentures and
Oh
like
man, yeah, that was crazy. So that
so
wasn't a failed opportunity because they did show reference to the grandma at the table. Remember when they're eating, and then at the beginning of the movie, she had a joke with her dentures, and then later on, of course, she got knocked out by Katie, who's possessed, and then it shows the dentures. So at least 3 times you saw the why that was significant. So they did a good job on that. But I do agree with you guys. The son is like, I mean, he's supposed to be a vital character of this film, and like I don't know. They just
well,
maybe they reviewed it before it got to us, and they're like, "Yeah, don't put focus on him. Nobody cares about him." I don't know.
they put perversion in when the demon was possessing people. So grandma did the whole thing like, okay, yeah, come get some of the kitty, this grandma kitty. And then like the
Oh, good.
the brothers like or the sister says to the brother, come help me get undressed and stuff like that. Like there was like this perversion when the demon time happened. And the little girl even had a little bit of perversion, like calling the teacher, I see you next Tuesday and all of that.
Well, in that picture that you have up right now, where she goes to the grandmother's coffin, takes the strings out of her lips because they're sewed shut, and takes her dentures out and puts her dentures in her mouth, and goes and smiles at her parents with her grandma's dead dentures in her mouth. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was. I mean,
Indeed.
I think they did a good job on that. If you're trying to get shock factor, you accomplished it in that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I wasn't
Indeed.
expecting. All in all, for me, guys, I think I enjoyed the movie. Like you said, Max, it kept me interested enough in the movie the whole time. It's a one-off for me though, personally. Years from now, if it's on Netflix or something, and I'm bored one night, I might throw it on again. But for me personally, I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again. But I do think it's worth watching at least once.
All right, I guess you guys want to get to the final review, your score. Want to do that? Well,
Yeah. Do it.
well, Rob, do you want to go from top to bottom, me to you, or what do you want to
Sure.
do? Okay. Um, these guys know, guys. I did not want to see this film. Horror movies like this are not my thing. I do like horror films, like more like your Nightmare on Elm Street, your Screams. I'm not a fan of anything that is like satanic or demonic possession. Um, it's just not my thing. All right. So if that's your thing, like if you love The Exorcist, I'm gonna be honest, maybe you should go see this movie. All right. I'm trying to be a little bit more open minded. I think that's fair. If Exorcist is your thing, you might really, really like this film. All right, but what about for me personally? So we have a rating scale. 5 is the highest it's going to be. You're probably never going to see a 5. You'll very rarely see a 4. But I will state this: I am going to give this film a 2.8 out of 5. I'm not quite willing to give it a 3. Like Rob, I think it was a good one and done. It could have been better. There was some obviously failed opportunities, missed opportunities. I'm sure there probably has some sequels. Maybe they will have a TV series in the future. But to be honest, I don't care. I'm done with it. That's my review. 2.8 out of 5.
It's
Go
you.
ahead, Rob. I'll go after you.
Okay, I thought we were going top to bottom. Um, for me, I align with Max on that same thing. I have to go 2.8. It's not quite a 3 for me. It's a one and done. Like I said, years down the road, if I'm bored and I forget a lot about the movie, I might throw it on again. But it's not something I would ever seek out to watch a second time. But one and done, I do think it's worth watching once. So 2.8 for me. That sounds fair.
For me, I give it a 0.5 stars. Like, it was really bad for me. The acting was good. That's the only reason we got it up to 0.5.
Okay, but you're a little confusing with your thing because we're going 1 to 5, and you're going
Oh,
with
okay.
stars.
We can't one to 5. Okay, so we'll give it a 1 then.
Okay,
We'll
that's
give it a
fair.
1. Like, honestly, to me, I wouldn't even give it a 1 for me. Like, the acting is the only thing that gives it a 1. But I would give it less than a 1 if I could. It would be less than a 1 if I could, for me. Like, you know,
Well, you can give
writing
it
back.
0. You can
Huh?
give it 0 out of 5 if you want.
Well,
1.
yeah. If we were doing halves, because like if we're doing like 2.8, right? I would say then we could do halves, right? Because we're doing 2.8. Then I would say 0.5.
So you hated this movie more than I hated Project Hail Mary.
For sure.
Wow, wow! 'Cause
sure.
I really hated that movie.
Hands down, bro. Hands down. Hands down. So I don't know if anything can get a worse than 0.5 rating from me, but we'll see. We'll see if
Hold on here. You have to keep in mind. I mean, some of you, our audience, probably haven't seen that review, and if you do, go watch the review. But I literally hated that movie. And it made me angry. Like I was enraged. I was ticked off. You were ticked off from this movie?
A little bit. Like, okay, if you just the premise of in this small in this like this town, right? All the Arabs would know each other. They would never take this job. And if you start with that premise, like the rest of the movie just falls apart because there was nothing special about her. They didn't need her. They could any firstborn child would do. What are we doing?
Oh,
Why
this is
are we here?
I'm sorry, this is hilarious.
If any firstborn child can do, then that blows the whole entire movie out of the water.
I'm not
Like,
discounting your review. I just think it's hilarious that we just reviewed 2 movies in a row. Project Hail Mary, I'm extremely mad. I hate the movie. And the follow-up is this movie, and now it's you who absolutely hates the movie.
Project Hail Mary was better than this movie. I don't know. What did you rank Project Hail Mary? Was it a 1 point?
It was a 1 point something. I can't remember what it was. It was bad.
Yeah, this was way worse than.
Do you remember, Rob?
Hail Mary.
I don't know if you remember. Anyway.
Yeah, it was 1 point something. This is way way worse than Project Hail Mary. Another thing too, like it's supposed to be a horror movie, and you commented on this. It was kind of like a thriller mostly. Like 0.5. I want my time back.
Well, how about this? Before you wrap this up, Rob, let's be in unison on this, right? We're the trifecta. So, we're the triple threat. So that said, should we have 0 point something or 0 moving forward, or we're always going to stick to 1 to 5 rating?
Well, if we're doing 2.8, right, then that should say that we can do points.
I think that we should just from now on moving forward stick to 5 stars. You can do half a star, 2 stars, whatever. That's what I think we should do.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. So Rue gives it half a star.
There you go, half a star from Rue.
And then for you and me, we'll say 2.75 stars.
There we go. 2.75 stars. All right, that's how we'll rate this moving forward. Any other closing thoughts from you guys?
I thought it was a good movie. I am very excited for the next one, Mortal Kombat. Little sneak hint for you guys. Little sneak peek. Yeah, we will be doing the Mortal Kombat trailer. It comes out in 5 days. So 3 days. Is it the 8th or the 10th? I think it's the 8th, isn't it?
I don't know, but we're going to be doing some creative stuff with it too. Shout out to you guys that are fans of obviously the video game. So either on the trailer, we'll try to include maybe some custom fatalities, or on the full movie trailer, some things like that. Just a little bit of it and so on. Trying to have some fun with it because I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I've been playing Mortal Kombat since Mortal Kombat 1 at the arcade. So on this one, I am looking forward to it. Nothing to hate here, right, Rue? Right? We don't need 3 in a row for the triple threat, literally, on a movie that we hate, right? I know hate's a strong word, but man, I really hated Project Hail Mary, and apparently really hated Lee Cronin's The Mummy even more than that. That says something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Terrible. Terrible movie.
All right, guys. Well, I guess that concludes our broadcast day.
Yes, indeed. Look forward to Mortal Kombat 2, and we'll come back to you guys when that comes out. So thank you, everybody. God bless.
God bless.
Peace.